In this video, we're going to take a look at setting up the general settings for our WooCommerce store now that we have it installed. Now, if you opted into the automated tax system and the other items that were brought to WordPress services and you signed up for that WordPress.com account through setup, you'll also notice that it installed Jetpack. So that's what that plugin is if you noticed it. So if you're just kind of wondering where that came from, that is part of that WordPress services and the WooCommerce integration that's going to help us with our automated taxes. So if that applies to you, if you decided to set that up, then that plugin is also going to be there. And I'll let you know when that may or may not conflict with other things that we're doing and any settings that you need to change. So that's Jetpack. So in order to look at our WooCommerce settings, we're going to hover over WooCommerce and we're going to click on Settings. And this is going to bring up several tabs. Now, some of these we're going to cover in other videos, so I just want to kind of quickly go through the settings that are, kind of basic and general configuration. So some of this you already put in during your setup. So the first thing we have is our store address. And then underneath that, we have the general options. So what this allows you to do is it allows you to block certain countries if you don't want them to be able to purchase from you. So if you're not able to ship to them or for whatever reason you don't want people from certain countries to order from your store, you can set that up here. So under selling locations, if you click on this drop down, you can say sell to all countries. You can put set to all or sell to all countries except for, and then you can put in several countries here. So this would be sell to everybody except these countries that are listed. Or you can only sell to specific countries. So you would put the countries in here and those are the only countries that would be allowed to sell from you. But if you're in an international company, if you're shipping everywhere, then you would just have sell to all countries. So the shipping locations, so this is the same kind of thing, except it's specifically for shipping. So people may be able to purchase, say, internationally digital products from your store, but for physical products that require shipping, you want to limit that to certain countries, and that works the same way. Underneath that, we have the default customer location, and this is basically asking you, how do we want to treat somebody before we know where they're from or where they are? So what pricing do we want to show them and such like that? And I think for most people, the best thing is going to be either the shop-based address or the geolocate. So geolocate is going to try to figure out where they are, and then if they can't, it'll default to the shop-based address. But until then, it's going to try to figure out based on their IP address where they're located and then show them that relevant information. I think the shop-based address is probably the easiest. So until we know where they are, we just assume that they're in the same area we are, or geolocate. That's going to be up to you. And then we can decide whether or not we want to enable or disable taxes. So if we need taxes, we can select this box here. A store notice would be for something like promotions, or if you know the website's going to be going into maintenance mode at a certain time, we can enable a site-wide notice and then enter in some information here, and that will appear at the top of all of the store pages. And then we have our currency options, which we set up during our installation. And if you need to change the thousands or the decimal separator symbols, etc., you can do all of that right here. So that's all pretty basic stuff. And then we're going to check out the products tab. And this is, again, what we set up during installation. We can change our weight unit and our dimensions unit. And we can also look at the reviews system. So WooCommerce has built in a review system where people can leave ratings and comments on your products, which will show up on the individual product pages. So we can choose whether or not we want to have a review system with this first checkbox. So if you'd like to give people the ability to do that, check on Enable Product Reviews. The next thing is to show verified owners. So this is if you're allowing everybody to review your products, but you want to put a specific tag next to people who actually bought that product from your store, then you can check this box. And then this last one, if you're going to have reviews, I do recommend that you do this, which is that only people that have purchased that product from your store can leave a review, and that just kind of prevents any kind of mischief or chaos that you might have. We really only want our customers to be able to leave reviews, because then we know it's specific to our store and not maybe a problem that they had with not with the product itself, but a product that the same product that they bought from a different supplier. So we want to make sure that reviewers are only left by verified owners. And then we can choose whether or not we want a star rating on products and whether or not that star rating should be optional or required. And then underneath here, we can go to our display settings. And this is going to ask us basically how we want our store to look and what we want to be showing. So when we installed WooCommerce, if we look at our pages, you can see that WooCommerce created some pages for us. So this cart page is the shopping cart for our user. We have a checkout page where they fill out their information and pay. There's a My Account page which shows them past orders. And there's a shop page which is actually the page that's going to show your products. So those are created by WooCommerce as you go through that installation process. And so this page here is asking about how, what do we want to display on that initial shop page. And this is really going to depend on how many products you have and how you want them separated. So I recommend you keep this the same, keep your shop page as the default WooCommerce shop page. And then under shop page displays, you can either show just your products, you can show just your product categories, or you can show both. And so if you have 1,000 products, you're probably going to want to start the user out with categories so they can drill down to the product that they want. If you only have 3 products, then you can probably just go straight ahead and show the products themselves, or you can do a combination of both if you like. So that's really going to depend on how many products you want and how you want the user to kind of drill down through the available products, right? So we'll just do show category and products. And then we have the default category display. Do we want to show, again, this is kind of the same thing. If you're going to have a ton of categories and within those a ton of subcategories, you may want to show the subcategories and let them drill down, or just the products, etc. So that really depends, again, on how many categories you're going to have, how many products you're going to have. But again, we'll do both here. The default product sorting. So how do we want to sort products on our pages, whether it be by price or rating or popularity of sales, etc. And then the add to cart behavior, this really depends on if you think people are going to be purchasing multiple products from your store, or if you think if your store is really set up, they're going to be purchasing one product and then immediately checking out. So if you're really only selling one product, or if you think somebody's only going to be choosing one product from your store, then you can check this first box, and what that's going to do is going to automatically redirect the user to their cart so they can proceed to checkout, because we're not expecting them to continue shopping through our store once they've added that product. If you have multiple products and you expect them to be purchasing multiple products from you, then keep that unchecked. That way it'll add the product to the cart without interrupting their shopping experience. And the second box, just keep Ajax enabled, because that allows for a lot of a kind of a smoother transition for everything. Under here we have product images. We're generally not going to mess around with this. This controls the size and the height and the width of our images, and I'm going to show you how to kind of make your product pages and your shop pages look great using the front end builders. So we're really not going to have to mess with this too much, so we can just click Save Changes and move on. The next tab is inventory, and this is if you're going to be selling products that you want to keep track of stock, you can keep this enabled. If you're not going to be using any kind of stock inventory system, you can disable this. But for now, let's enable it. And then these other items are basically, when do you want to be notified? What should happen when your product goes out of stock? Should we hide it? Should we show a message? All that's kind of there, so you can determine what's best for you. And then we're going to do some settings for downloadable products. The file download method, normally we're just going to have forced downloads, which is going to make them download it as soon as they go through the checkout process. But if you want to do some of these other items, or if you're recommended to switch to one of these other items, either by somebody from LattePress or WooTheme support, this is where that is. But forced downloads usually works the best. And then access restriction, which is basically if somebody has one of those download links for your files, do they have to log into their account to kind of verify who they are? And normally I would say keep that on just to kind of keep things safe. And then keep this box enabled to grant access to downloadable products after payment. And what this does is, if you're going to be using offline payments, such as a bank transfer, you're not going to get that money or that payment right away. And so after somebody goes through the checkout process, so they've purchased your downloadable product, but they've chosen bank transfer as their payment method instead of like a credit card or PayPal where you get that money right away, that order in the back end is not going to be completed. It's going to be in have a status called processing. And it's processing until you've manually gotten that bank transfer and gone in and completed the order. So what this is asking you is, for downloadable products, do we want to give them access to that product while you're waiting for the bank transfer? And if we do, then we check this box. If we want them to have to wait until you've verified the bank transfer and completed the order before they can download, then leave this unchecked. So tax, shipping, and checkout we're going to handle in future videos. Let's take a look at accounts. And this is the account page where a user can check out previous orders, or check out their subscription or anything else like that that has to do with their page. And this is just some information about how that should look. Do we want to enable registration and login on these pages? And then what happens with when people create or log into their accounts? So check out those options. And then the account endpoints is asking you essentially the slugs that you want for each page. And I do recommend that you just leave these the same unless you have a specific reason to change them. If you want to look through the emails that are sent out when your store, sends out an order email or something like that, you can check these out here. You can also change some basic styling settings and some information about, the from name and the from address when those emails go out. And you can put in some footer text or something like that. So that's how we control the emails that are sent out by WooCommerce. And for now, that's basically it. So those are the general configuration options. A lot of it is set up when you go through that installation process. So there's not too much here that you're gonna have to go through, but just kind of check that out. Check out whether or not you want reviews and do some basic settings. And in the next couple of videos, I'll walk you through the more complicated stuff like taxes and shipping and setting up your payment processors, and then actually creating the products in your store.